To the next lecture. Next lecture is by Professor Parimal Karmakar. He is from Yadavpur University. I feel privileged to introduce him to the audience. He has a vast experience of 30 years of research experience and 20 years of teaching experience. He has obtained his PhD from Kolkata University. Uh, his research areas of interest is cell biology, DNA repair, drug delivery, and nanotechnology. He has postdoctoral fellows linked at Celvius Laboratory at Leiden University, the Netherlands, NIH, National Institute of Aging, Baltimore, USA, and Tohoku University, Sendai, Japan, under JSPS scholarship. He has published more than 120 SCI journals in journals of international repute, and he has H index of 35. I invite Professor Parimal Karmakar to deliver his lecture. Sir, please.
Yeah. Is the slide is visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay.
Can you make it to slide mode?
Slideshow mode, can you please make it?
Yeah.
But
Is
yes.
okay?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for a nice introduction. I think we are running late, and and after these big medical applications of the material science, I am on the background of pure science rather, and my lab is mainly devoted with biology. But recently we took up some project on biomaterials. So my topic is the development of different biocompatible materials and approach for efficient drug delivery. Now, practice of drug delivery has now dramatically changes over the last few decades, and the biomedical science actually contributes substantially to enhance our understanding of the physical barrier for efficient drug delivery and transport in the circulatory systems, and how the drug moves through the cells and tissues. And also several new drug delivery modes has been developed and suggested, and some of them are really in some trial. Now, current drug delivery can be described in four broad categories, where the roots of the delivery, you know that that even the vaccines, they have different routes and drug as well. And recently they have developed some microneedle systems which are carrying the different drugs. The microneedles, each of the needles is thinner than our hair, and they deliver the drug in a painless fashion. So this is not really invasive type, and they can suggest it to deliver the vaccine in the same way. Similarly, the delivery vehicles, different kinds of vehicle, and with our understanding with the modern nanobiotechnological materials and the polymeric materials, different types of vehicles, which I will come, has been developed, they have ended up getting some nano sponge, which can be reach. It is a polyester like particle, and which coated with the drug, and that can be home inside the tumor, so that they can deliver drug continuously. And then the cargo, different materials actually can be delivered. That includes the genes, proteins, and even the stem cells that can be delivered through some biodegradable particle, and some of the biodegradable particles are surprisingly using for delivery for the treatment of the autoimmune disease, because they can certainly shut down the total immune response. And similarly, the targeting strategy is something where your drug is targeted, and mostly they are using some antibodies against the cell surface receptors, or even single chain antibody, or even the peptide which fits with the receptor, that can be used. Also, they are now engineering some viruses which can attach to some specific cancer cells like prostate cancer, uh, and this virus has the capability to escape the or can slip past our immune systems, so that they can enter into the prostate and deliver the drug, which has been successfully applied to the to some cancer victims. And then there are different modes of medications. And different strategies has also been adopted, like encapsulations, some biomarkers which can specifically go an artificial nanocarrier. And the major challenge is the using these nanomaterials are really biocompatibility and acceptability, because the body systems are quite different from what we have seen in vitro studies. And additionally, we have to formulate this so that the cellular uptake can be increased. And of course, considering the socioeconomic conditions, they should be lower cost. Now, various type of biomaterial are now popularly being adopted. Is say chitosangs, which is a deacetylated chitin, and which is biodegradable and biocompatible, where it's found in the lobster or shell or shrimp, and they possess some specific charge, so can be used for and they are mucoadhesive, so they are ideal for delivering drug. And PLGA also a biocompatible and biodegradable, and they have a little bit of long erosion times, and they can be used for controlled delivery of the drug. And of course, you know that bacterial systems are sometimes the bacteria produces cellulose, and some bacteria in some extreme condition can use the nanocellulose, which are of greater interest, because they are not only biocompatible, but they have the capacity to hold water for a long time, and they are fibrous network, and they have high tensile strength, and they can act as a hydrogel. So considering this, we have developed different approaches. My talk will be in two basic part. One is the delivery of some potent agent to cancer cells, and another is the general approach developed to deliver the herbal expedient to the wound healing. So the first is thing is that we choose curcumin because it is a natural ingredient, and whatever it is, it cannot produce any damage to the cell, because most of the challenges for this kind of therapy, that all the therapeutic agents, they have some adverse effect on the normal cell as well. So the most challenging disease is cancer, and among them we choose a very specific cancer, which is the breast cancer, because the breast cancer among the breast cancer we have we have some breast cancer which has the hormone receptor. So using the hormone they grow, and the usual therapy is tamoxifen, which blocks the hormone receptor estrogen and progesterone. And then another, if these two are absent, some of the breast cancer develop a overexpress a receptor, which is epidermal growth factor receptor, or HER2/neu. And these are the breast cancer which is little aggressive, and the therapy available to block this receptor is some monoclonal antibody. uh, and then the most worst, maybe 15% of the total triple breast cancer is the triple negative, where all these estrogen, progesterone as HER2 are not found. So they are mostly aggressive, and their therapy is not known. Am I audible? Hello?
Yeah,
Yes,
you
sir.
are audible.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
You are
okay.
audible.
Yeah, I get confused sometimes. So, so there is no therapy at least known yet. So we choose this agent curcumin, and this is a little bit of old work, because the curcumin has some characteristic features, and it's naturally available, and it has two forms, keto and enol forms, and which is very interesting to encourage us to developed a new kind of curcumin derivatives, because the curcumin is the problem is the solubility, and we want to we developed a alternative structure of the curcumin, which is copper acetyl acetonate. This is a metal organic complex where it retains the property of the curcumin, which we have seen in the in vitro studies, and as well as this can be loaded for a specific drug delivery. So this is my the first cartoon where I give the some kind of graphical abstract where I use chitosan, the more natural polymer, and then with chloroacetic acids, I produce we produce the carboxymethyl chitosan. So this is something which can be modified so that any kind of drug can be loaded. So and then we activate the and another thing, which is the folic acid. You can see here folic acid. Why folic acid? Because most of the cancer cells, because of their high metabolic activity, they express more folate receptor, and they need more nutrient to prepare the nucleic acids. So this folate receptor are most in almost in every kind of cancer, the folate receptor expression is high compared to the normal cells. So it may be 70-80% higher than the normal cells. And these receptors, so we use folic acids as an targeting agent, and it has been activated through EDBA methods, where it can be activated so that it can bind with the activated carboxymethyl chitosans through the formation of NH and COOH bond. And this carboxymethyl is hydrophobically modified by stearic acids, and then these resulting molecules are attached with the folic acid, which is already ready to bind with this polymer through the NH terminals. And then this agent, which is copper acetyl acetonate, which is a derivative of curcumin, having metal property of copper, is loaded inside this vehicle. So this vehicle is now capable of delivering drug to the specific cell which overexpress the folic acids. And then we also explored that whether this can kill the cancer cells and what is the mechanism, because you know that induction of necrosis is not welcome, and even the induction of pyroptosis or any other kind of death apart from apoptosis is not welcome. So we analyzed and found that it can induce the damage to the mitochondrial membrane, resulting production of huge amount of reactive oxygen species, which mediated induction of apoptosis, and which is non-inflammatory response inside the cells. And we did both in vitro and in vivo studies. And also we use another strategy where chitosan nanoparticle is encapsulated with the copper acetyl acetonate, and this coating chitosans are now attached with the folic acids, so that they will go specifically to bind to the folate receptor containing cells, mainly the cancer cells, and release the content, because the chitosans can release the content of copper acetyl acetonate and kill the cells. And we have seen that this can interestingly reduce the and tumor regression is also shown in the also seen in case of the Balbzi mice. And this is another strategy we developed, where we use the curcumin itself in the metal organic framework. So this is isoreticular nanoscale metal organic frameworks. This has been prepared in collaboration with the Indian Institute of Mines, Dhanbad, Professor Shahu, who prepared this. And then he asked me that whether we can load curcumin, because this metal organic framework can load any kind of drug. And at that time, because we were using curcumin, so we load the curcumin in this metal organic framework. And as you can see here, this metal organic framework, as you can see in the same picture, we gradually add, we modify the metal organic framework so that the folic acid can be conjugated, and then we use the curcumin, and curcumin can also be loaded. So these three are the first picture, and then additionally we recombine this. So we add both simultaneously folic acid and curcumin, and then you can see the structure is little bit of higher. And this has also been tested on different cell line using cancer cell lines, and also we explored the molecular mechanism, and we have seen that the curcumin could specifically induce apoptosis in the cancer cells, while we use the normal fibroblast. At the dose we use, it cannot do anything, but even if do so, it's not really significant. And then we in vivo studies, we use the Balbzi mice, where we inject the cell line, the 41, which has the capability of producing cancer in the Balbzi mice. And then we observe, then we treat them with these different components in 3 days interval, and until 3 or 4 dose. And then after day 20, we sacrifice the mice and measure the volume of the volume and weight of the tumor. As you can see nicely that the targeted delivery of curcumin can reduce the, whereas only folic acid has nothing to do with the cancer, but the targeted curcumin can do to some extent, but folic acid conjugated curcumin with this metal organic framework can regress the tumor. Now we did another things where we also load the curcumin in a PLGA, Now PLGA is also, this is a high erosion, so it can induce the control release because of high erosion times. So this is the strategy to produce the PLGA coated with the folic acids and curcumin loaded, and then they have successfully tried for FTIR to check whether the loading is there, and then with simple absorptions of the curcumin, we observed that there is little bit of quenching at 425 nanometer when they are loaded with PLGA, and then we did the picture and we can see the nice microsphere of the PLGA, which is loaded with the curcumin and which is loaded with curcumin and folic acids. And then we treat it. So this is the general strategy we adopted. So the first one is the survivability of this composite on a human triple negative breast cancer cell line, and the last second one is with the mouse triple negative breast cancer cell line 41, and then we also export the mechanism that how it can induce the cell killing. So to cut the long story short, we have seen that while normal cell responds very little, but the cancer cell induce apoptosis with these delivery agents, and finally we go to the animal experiments where the biopsy mice has been induced with 41 induced cancers, and then with different interval drug was treated, and then finally the regression was analyzed as seen in the figure. And another was used the gamma acacia coated, and this is also the gamma acacia is loaded inside the gamma acacia is loaded with curcumin and then the coated with folic acids with EDC methods, and then this we tried because because chitosan is bit of expensive. Large scale production will needs lots of funds. So we use gamma acacia, which is very cheap and can easily be manipulated to tag not only folic acid, but also you can tag the other receptors or other antibody or other peptide so that they can be used for targeted delivery of the drug. And this is the picture of the nanoparticle produced and their size distributions, and then their cytotoxicity like before was assayed, and their release. And their LD50 value was estimated, and then we finally go to the mice model and we see the nice regression of the tumor. So altogether we tried or developed different kind of biopolymer which is biocompatible and has no toxic effect on the normal cells, and also animal treated with all these control experiment will not show any kind of defect. Like we have analyzed their liver enzyme, we have analyzed their kidney function and their total blood count. So there is no harm on this delivery agent, and we loaded a very innocuous type of drug. Innocuous in the means they cannot do any harm to the normal cells, but can selectively kill the cancer cells, and we make them target to the specific cancer cells, and mainly triple negative breast cancer where we are focused. So these are the basically the conclusions we can draw from our first observations. still we are trying to load some other kind of drug in such delivery agents. And then we move to another kind of delivery systems which are for wound healing. Now, wound healing, we prefer to produce a kind of hydrogel because it has lots of moisture content and can be loaded with hydrophilic and hydrophobic agents for the wound healing. And as the wound healing, as you can see, the wound healing can generate either acute or chronic, and chronic is associated with diabetics, which always shown some critical condition because of the continuous inflammations, and and also their lack of immune response. So the delivery agents or the agents which can be used for the delivery of the wound healing agents are mostly includes the recombinant protein like EGF, epidermal growth factor, fibroblast growth factor, vascular endothelial growth factor, platelet growth factors, or TGF alpha. So all these TGF beta, all these growth factors, they are recombinant in nature, and this some for experimental purpose recombinant kind of proteins can be delivered because they are really in practice they are not really allowable any recombinant. There are lots of regulatory systems, so we avoid to give this. Rather, we choose something, and we have been doing this work for long. We are trying to load some local or herbal extract. Now, the barrier for the wound healings are mostly, there are local factors which are mainly associated with the diabetic kinds of wounds, and then another is the systematic factors because of the patient's individual component that can be either immunocompromised conditions or addicted to some medicines or smoking or drug, etc. Now, all these questions cannot simultaneously be addressed because the wound healing is a very sequential process. So the wound healing process starts with the recruitment of the platelet, and other cytokines are necessary to and disemembrament of the matrix metalloprotease so that the wounded part of the extracellular matrix are removed, and then the growth factors are necessary to grow the fibroblast, and finally the keratinocytes, and then the closure of the wound and formation of a scar. And formation of the scar is depends on the growth of the cells associated with the scars. If they overgrow, there will be always a scar marks. If they grow optimized, you cannot see any scar marks. Now, the wound dressing materials nowadays is found mainly the alliginate. You know, the alliginate is Flavobacterium produce, and it has long been used for different dressing material. And hydrocolloid, this mainly used for the providing the moist environment, and it is a matrix and which can be placed over the wound, and it is used mainly for the heavy exudate level and granular type of wound. And the use of semi-permeable adhesive films, we now use it regularly for small, and use of foam is a moist wound, and as you see two lectures back, one lectures back, polyurethane or silicone foams are used, and biological dressings comprise of the collagen mainly, and collagen matrix mainly, and mainly sometimes people are using for the burn victim using cataphysics wound, or that is dead skin, and which has a problem of rejections. So this allograft is very carefully permitted, or some biocellulose. Among them, the biohydrogels are most important because it has a lots of moisture containing, and it is using it can be prepared using different material, and they are either copolymer or homopolymer. You can manipulate their pore size. Their interchange interactions can be physically, you can feed them, or you use some innocuous type of chemicals, but this and they can carry charge or even no charge, amphoteric. And most of the importance is the natural or synthetic. Natural is chitosan, alginate, pectin, and synthetics are PEG, PBV. Excuse me. Hello.
Yes, yes, please proceed.
Or combinations of both. Now we also prepared several kind of hydrogel, keeping in mind that we can develop a very cheap kind of wound healing agents, which is suitable for both normal wound and the diabetic wounds. So we first developed different hydrogel like guargam hydrogel. As you can see, this is very easy to prepare, this hydrogel, and carbopol hydrogels. This is also not much difficult. And then this is carbopol, you know, the mucoadhesive kind of polymer, and they often use as an adjuvant for different drug. This is polyacrylic acids. And then we prepare gum acacia. It's a very common type of this is also called Arabic gum. It is the exudate from some plant, and this is actually used as well. Apart from their hydrogel formations, they are used for the as an anti-inflammatory, and they form a complex polymer, and they may be suitable for cover the wound. And also we developed recently a okra mucilage, which is coming from the common okra. So you prepare the you cut the okra and incubate it in the overnight, and then you filter it so that this mucilage comes out, and then you prepare the hydrogel using solvent precipitations and followed by drying, so you can get the dried mucilage powder, and this can be manipulated, which we are trying now to load different kinds of drug. But what we have successfully done, we use the xanthan gum hydrogel, and then this hydrogel is produced, and then they are loaded with two herbal expecient. One is the calendula, another is hibiscus. So these are the two agents. First, we published paper on their potency to heal wound, and also for calendula we isolated the single component, and then that can be used. But now because the wound healing process is a multi-step process, and each of the steps is involving the response of different cells, so the single agent may not be sufficient to heal the wound, particularly the chronic wound. So we have to add different kinds of expecient. In this case, we use two expecient, hibiscus and calendula, where we have checked their loading using the FTIR and UV analysis, and their swelling ratio is also determined, and their same analysis showed a matrix-like structure, and their zeta potential is also estimated, so that they have been loaded with this both calendula and hibiscus extract, and their their release study has been done on different pH. So in a wide range of pH, their release is almost same, and then their effect on the is not really toxicity, rather their proliferation. As you can see, we optimize a dose of this for fibroblast WI38 or a HACAR. This is the keratinocytes. So we optimize the dose where the dose which can helps them to grow, and then we did the cell proliferation assay with BRDU incorporations. So this is a very common type of assay where you incorporate the BRDU in place of thymidine, and then indirect immunolabeling will be done to follow up the incorporation of BRDU. The more green cell means more DNA synthesis. So as you can see here, when this xantham gum is conjugated with calendula and hibiscus, it induces more cell proliferations, as you can see here. Similarly, the fibroblast migration plays an important role in the healing process. So we did scratch assay and measured the amount of the closure with time after the addition of this healing agent. As you can see here, the gap is almost filled up in the presence of this. So the both proliferation and migration can be achieved with this composite herbal expecient. And then there is a little bit of mechanism where we want to measure the proliferative index, because these are the most prominent pathway. We have published when we add only calendula to the cellular extract, that this PI3 kinase pathway, which is a very important pathway for the cellular proliferations, where AKT is very important protein, because AKT is a survivor protein and it helps the cells to proliferate, and its phosphorylation is essential. So we measure the phosphorylation status of the AKT, as you can see, and GAPDH is the loading control. And this activation is found both for the HACAT and WI38. So at least in the two phase, this composite formulation can activate fibroblast as well as keratinocytes, which plays a very important role for the not only for the healing but also for the wound closure. And also with the Bayer extract, we have seen that we use the zymogram to see the matrix metalloproteases series, and we have also seen that these are also activated using this extract. And finally we did the in vivo assay, where the tissue sections has been collected from the excision wound from both diabetic and normal mice. And
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
So how many slides still you have?
Just one.
Oh, thank you.
And this is the wound area which has been closed completely with the use of this expecient, and this is the quantitative measurement, and we take the tissue from the surroundings and measure their activity. They measure their morphology by hematotoxylin eosin treatment. So these agents are biocompatible. And finally, we now want to isolate the component responsible for this and also other expecient, the more main active component, and use them for the in vivo delivery of the drug for the healing agents. And that's, thank you. I think I took, yeah, 2 minutes.
Thank you, Professor Karmakar, for your illuminating lecture on biocompatible materials for drug delivery. Maybe one questions maybe taken up. If there are no questions, again on behalf of organizers and on my own behalf,
I have a small question. I have a small question. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, Dr. Annapurna.
Yeah, please do.
Yes. So it is like, sir, you're there?
Yeah, I am here.
Okay. Yes. So actually, folic acid is overexpressed in normal cells as well, isn't it? So if you
Degree of overexpression is first of all, degree of overexpression in cancer cell is more because they have more metabolic activity. Okay,
okay.
so they need more. Number one. Number two, even if curcumin went to the normal cell, they cannot do any harm. But
Okay.
it has been seen that more aggressive cells, the curcumin can damage the mitochondria, release the cytochrome C, and induce apoptosis in the cancer cells mainly.
What you mean to say is like other cancer drugs, it is not doing harm to the normal cells. So it is fine that if some extent
Yeah,
normal
yeah,
cells.
yeah.
Okay.
That's why we choose curcumin. Otherwise, we can use the other cancer drug
Hmm.
using the folic acid, but they will damage the normal cells. That is the most problem.
Okay, sir. So please, all the viewers who are there, we'll take a snap together. Sir, please make your video on.
I did, but it.
So please unshare your PPT if you are still on.
Yes, please remove your PPT. Then I think
You please unshare your PPT.
other attendees who are there, please make your videos on. We'll have a snap with Porimal sir.
You have to unshare.
Where is the unshare button?
Maybe just beside the link.
Cross.
They have to stop sharing.
Yes. Yes.
Just on the top, just beside the leave button, you have one cross. Maybe you please click on that. Yes.
Am I visible? Yeah, I'm visible.
Yes, yes. Now it is fine, sir. So, okay, we'll have a snap together. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, sir.